Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to another rendition of the Bros and the Berg podcast. If you're a first-time listener, you picked a hell of an episode to come in and join. If you're a returning listener, same to you. My name is Ryan Doyle. I'm the co-host on this show, joined as always by my other co-host, Mr. Robbie Bergstone, and our executive producer, my younger brother, Connor Doyle, who makes this podcast hum. I know we've been talking about it for the last few weeks, but we are in the month of football.
August,
I mean,
baby.
it is here. It has
We
arrived.
have college football 2 weeks from Friday.
Oh man,
Week zero,
awesome.
locking in.
Hawaii, Stanford. I'm doing it.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Stiff drink in my hand, chicken wings in the air fryer.
There it is.
Yeah, these
Dial.
college football predictions are brought to you by Natural Light. Please
Natty
sponsor us.
Light.
This is like,
Holy-
not gonna lie to you, this is like room temperature Natty Light. Dude. This is we have laying around the
Brother,
apartments.
we have jobs.
Yeah, for real.
I refuse.
We don't
That's
don't
crazy.
have to drink piss.
Not
It
anymore.
doesn't taste that bad. It's kind of good.
Oh man.
Now, I'll tell you what, a lukewarm Natty Light for the shotgun.
Elite.
Elite. I'll
Elite.
give him that, but just to like
I'm just sipping. Just
Raw
hanging
on the
out.
Natty Light.
sipping
Yeah,
a
that's-
room temp Natty Light is
Just
questionable.
bowling with the boys with the Natty Light. I don't see the
Sure.
problem. Yeah.
Sure.
What's y'all's shower beer of choice? If you had
Coors Banquet.
Yeah. Easy.
That was
that's,
so
that's a unanimous.
immediate.
Yeah.
Let's
Is it why?
let's
Is
not
it-
sponsored by. Yeah, what do you?
Because-
I always have the shower beer hat. What is this?
Because if it's a nice, it has some body to the beer.
Yeah,
so even if
okay.
it's a little watered down, you're fine.
You can't
But
have
it also
a
tastes
light
good,
beer,
and
in
it's
the
not
shower.
that expensive. Yeah,
Jeez.
Shower is heavy beer territory.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Connor, I don't know if you ever saw in college. I used to have like a suction cup, like
Yeah.
beer holder, like was in my
Sure.
shower. That was also a speaker,
Yeah.
so I could like have the music
That's
going
awesome.
and just have the beer. It was good stuff. That was
Little
good
Dixieland Delight, 7 a.m. With a
You don't have that set up anymore?
times. I do not have that
Why
set
not?
up anymore.
I got it.
You're
I got it
right.
taken down.
You're so right.
That's
Yeah,
what I should
for
do in the downstairs bathroom we have now.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, Robbie. We're gonna throw it over to you. Usually it comes over to me, but I'm gonna throw it over to you to get things started. First and foremost, we're gonna go over our parlay results from last week, just so everybody knows we are not gonna place one this week. We're recording this a little bit in advance, so like parlays, we wouldn't be able to check on them for a while. So we're just gonna go over those results, and then we're gonna get to the main event of the episode: college football playoff predictions. All 12 teams, all the conferences. We're gonna do a deep dive. We've all made our picks. So Robbie, I'm gonna swing it over to you.
Yeah, so as we all know, Ryan is on probation. To no one's surprise,
Continuing on
he
probation.
did not hit his parlay last week. However, the Pirates did beat the Rockies. So
There it
the
is.
Rockies have
Rockies
changed.
curse
That has
broken.
always changed now.
Hmm.
We got to figure out the rest of parlay, but he'll get there one day. Connor with the biggest win we've seen so far. Parlay hit
Let's
last week.
go.
He's now up 16.25 units based on the math I did in my head very quickly.
There you go.
So it might maybe a unit or two off, but it should be around there somewhere. I also hit last week, so Connor and I are locked in. We're just alternating right now, but it doesn't matter who takes it if we're both right all the time.
For real. Exactly.
So I'm back up 4.75 units. And then as a team, because we did pick Connor's last week, we're up 16.25. So if you've been following our picks,
We're winning, man.
you'd be up good money right now. It's not too
Winning
bad.
big. That's
You
pretty
can
good.
continue to fade me until further notice.
Yeah, it's tough out there for Ryan. He's waiting for football season. He's waiting.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
He's going to cook up.
So that's what the issue is. I'm not necessarily getting skunked. I mean, in every parlay, I'm hitting. You
went
one
1 for
leg
3
off.
last week.
Yeah, I'm not getting skunked though.
You're not going to 0 for 3? Is that like a
0 for
huge
3. That's what I'm
accomplishment?
Ryan, so I have this fun fact about parlays for you. 0 for 3 wins you the same money as 2 for 3.
So true.
Wow.
So
That-
true.
he hit you with it. That's
But at least
crazy.
with 2 for 3, I'm like, hey, I'm on the right track. If those are straight bets, I'd be up, right?
That's
Like,
fair.
That's
fair.
true. I do have to shout out my parlay last week, Fernando Tatis Jr., his only hit of the game being a double. I mean, that's clutch. That's
Surgeon
clutch
called
right
it.
there to bring
You
it
called
around.
it, yeah.
So we love that.
What informed that decision? I mean, was it a combination of
Vibes.
pitcher, ballpark, weather conditions? I mean, we just took it as surface level
Yeah.
as we
Yeah,
can
pretty-
get.
It's,
Go ahead, bro.
I was going to say it's as simple as Fernando Tatis Jr. is good. And
I mean,
so
yeah.
therefore we bet on double. I mean, that's
kinda what-
basically the yeah.
Sure.
Well, we know. I mean, the Schwarber one, because I had like Schwarber 2+ bases. It's strikeout or dinger. I was feeling the dinger. He had been without one for a while, And
He's
so,
hot right now, though.
Yeah,
too.
it's
Ever since
insane.
you put in that parlay,
I know,
Schwarber's
dude.
been hot.
It's me, and I just took inspiration from Robbie on the Diamondbacks pick. I was like, if Robbie picked it and I picked it, it's probably good odds. And then Tatis just like,
Facts.
I gotta throw it out there, man. See, plus 300 leg by itself and boosted that parlay a ton. So I mean,
I
big
gotta
win.
shout out my boy Schwarber. Then this happened a couple weeks ago during the home run derby. I think no, it was during the All-Star
He
game.
did the swing off.
Yeah, the swing off when this man went up raw dogged, and you get 3 swings to hit as many home runs as you can, and the dude went 3 for 3. Like that is crazy. I think Adrian Beltrade won, like just off a knee kind of shit. Like that is to be able to do that is crazy work. So he's got.
Shout out Kyle, man.
So I know we're not putting in parlays this week, but I did want to throw an idea I had by you guys. It's not a good one, but I did want to throw it out there. So hear me out. We parlay Travis Hunter Offensive Rookie of the Year with Travis Hunter Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
The storylines there.
What are the odds?
I want to hear. Yeah,
they're like I think for each of them he's over plus 1,000. So those together in a parlay, it's long odds. But you're telling me if he like goes out and plays well on both sides of the ball, the NFL is not sitting there and be like, I mean, this is a cool story to put out there. Like we could make this vote happen. I'm just saying.
I just have to chalk that up as a donation. Right? I mean,
$1 though, like $1 would get you a lot back on the odds. So, I mean, I do actually, funnily enough, we're not going to go through much news because, like I said, we're recording this ahead of time. But funnily that Robbie mentioned that Travis Hunter was officially listed as a starting wide receiver for the Jaguars and a backup corner. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, I guess we'll see how he does throughout the season. Robbie, you looking up the odds right now?
I'm trying to find it. It might take me a second. Not gonna lie to you.
It's all right. While Robbie is looking at that, and he'll interrupt me whenever he finds it, we're going to get into what we're here for, what everybody's here for. Robbie even has a beer to celebrate because he's so excited about talking about the college football playoff. The way we're going to kind of break this down, as everybody knows, it's now a 12-team format. And even though that the rankings don't necessarily correlate with the conferences anymore, for example, like the top 4 seeds are no longer the 4 conference champions, we're just going to do it that way because we think it's easiest. So we're going to go through our 4 conference champions as well as the group of 5 team that gets a bid into the college football playoff. And then we're going to go through the rest of our at-large teams. Gentlemen, what conference champion would we like to start with?
Fun fact: DraftKings does not allow me to parlay the Travis Hunter.
Oh, that is brutal.
Defensive.
That is brutal.
Once again, DraftKings results
in the past couple years of how we've done.
I apologize. Yeah, of course. So Robbie's going to take us through the our results of the last couple of years of our predictions, so you can see how successful or unsuccessful we've been in the previous years.
Yeah, so last year is the first year of the 12-team playoff. We went through it in much less structure than we're going to today. But yeah, Connor and I both did make 12 picks. Ryan would not commit to anything. But
crazy.
Connor went 7 for 12. He hit Georgia, Ohio State, Boise State, Texas, Oregon, Notre Dame, Tennessee.
Kind of the easy ones, to be totally honest with you. But
Ryan only picked 10 teams, and one of them I was kind of nice and gave him that he made the pick because when we were talking about taking Ohio State, Ryan just said that Ryan Day would be fired if they lost to Michigan. And then they won the national championship last year.
So I was wrong that he wasn't fired.
That's correct. That is correct. So Ryan got 4 of the 12. He got UGA, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Penn State. And then, like Connor, I also went 7 for 12. Georgia, Ohio State, Boise State, Texas, Oregon, Notre Dame, Penn State.
So did we pick the same? Oh, you didn't pick Tennessee. It was the one that I picked.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't pick Tennessee. And which one did I have different that you didn't have? You didn't take Penn State.
Penn State, yeah. Penn State.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one thing I do want to give us a shout out for, though, the line last year for SEC teams in the playoff was 4.5. And we all unanimously said we should have bet on it, which of course we didn't, take the under 4.5 SEC teams. Mm-hmm. So shout out us. That was a good take.
Yeah.
The year before that, 2023, was the last year of the 4-team playoff. That was the year that Florida State got snubbed. It was Michigan, Texas, Washington, and Alabama. Mm-hmm. So that year, Connor went 2 for 4. He had Michigan and Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan went 2 for 4. Ryan took USC that year. Just want to throw that out there, by the way, as well.
Caleb Williams, the USC? Yeah. Is that what it was?
They shit the bed.
You could say that.
He took Alabama and Texas, even though Connor and I actually both shit on Texas in that same podcast.
That's true.
And then I went 3 for 4. I had Michigan, Alabama, and Washington, and also picked Florida State.
Ball knower.
That was a crazy year. I
You
would
should
never
have had
replicate that. I
You
should have
should
had.
have
Well,
had
I would
4
have had
for 4.
Alabama if Florida
Oh
State.
yeah,
made
sorry,
it.
yeah.
I did not. I shit on Texas, so I would not have ever gotten them all right. But that's 4 of the top 5 is not too shabby.
Firm balls knower. You know.
So
That's true.
as you
That's
can
what
see,
Robbie
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I feel like getting at least half every
You're
time
pretty good.
is not
Yeah.
bad. That's
No, I
pretty
agree.
solid. So
Robbie, I do have to show you some appreciation because you not calling me out for maybe what could be considered a heinous pick in Oklahoma State last year after a 3-win season.
it
it's
wasn't
tough.
great. Yeah, you jinxed them into 0-9 in the Big 12.
That's true. In my defense, the Big 12 was completely flipped from what people thought it was going to be last year.
Listen,
so.
I can't give you that much shit because Ryan took Kansas State and I took Kansas.
I mean,
so
yeah.
like we weren't really
It's
cooking
tough.
over here either, right?
Yeah, Big 12, man. That's a hard one, and I'm excited to talk about that conference today. Do we just want to start with the powerhouse? Do we just want to start with our SEC champions? Is that just what we got to get into?
Let's run it.
I think that's what we do. All right, we're going to, like I said, go through our 4 conference champions and then our group of 5. SEC, I guess I will start it off. My SEC champion for this upcoming year, the Georgia Bulldogs. I think that the Georgia Bulldogs, it's a safe pick.
Yeah.
Even if they're not the SEC champs, I have full confidence that Georgia is going to get into the college football playoff. Obviously you have Kirby Smart. They have 3 games against non-power opponents and only 3 true road games. Some of their games are being played on neutral sites against Florida and things like that. Yeah. I think they beat Bama and Tennessee, to be totally honest. And I think if they do that, they don't even need to technically win the SEC, but I think that they will anyways, and they might just drop one of the games to Bama or Tennessee. So I got Georgia as my SEC champs.
Go ahead. Take it away.
I'm not going to take the Georgia Bulldogs to win the SEC. We'll get into later if I think they'll be in the playoff. I'm going to take the team that played Georgia in the SEC championship last year. Lost a little bit of firepower in offense, but has the most famous quarterback in college football right now in Arch Manning. I think Texas wins the SEC this year.
There you go. I understand. I get it.
And
I think they're favorites.
And probably like both of you gentlemen, you maybe debated between Texas and Georgia and maybe like a third, dark horse potentially getting the SEC championship game. I picked it relatively simple for me. Georgia's 2 biggest games this year they have at home. Their biggest road test will be at Neyland at the end of September. Mm-hmm. I just think just having the home ability and also playing in your backyard in Mercedes, I think it just gives them the advantage. So I think I'll want to pick Georgia to win the SEC this year.
There you go.
No heinous picks there. I think it's one of those 2 pretty head and shoulders above the rest. So
I mean, from what I believe Texas is the number 1 favorite, odds-on favorite, and then Georgia's number 2. And so pretty easy picks there. I think we swing it over to probably the other biggest conference. I think we go to the Big Ten and make our picks there. So my Big Ten champion. Again, not much of a surprise. They are the defending champs, the defending national champs. I do have to go with Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes. I am of the belief that I think that their only loss the entire season is going to be to Texas. I think they're going to lose in week 1, and then I think they're going to win out pretty much the whole year, including Michigan. I do think that they end up beating
Break
Michigan.
the curse.
Yeah,
I think they have to get one.
They have to.
Right?
They have to.
So there are a few.
Does Ryan Day get fired?
People have been saying for years.
I think there are a few caveats with Ohio State that make me a little bit concerned. One of them is that they still have not selected a quarterback yet. They still have not. There's some guys are still fighting it out for the QB1 spot.
Who's any favorites right now? Is it Julian Sayin?
They're pretty. I can't remember who the top 2 guys are, but I remember that Ryan Day said that they were both viable for the starting spot for Ohio State. Julian Sayin and Lincoln Keenels. Is that how you say his last name?
Yeah.
Keenels are the 2 guys, and Ryan Day says they haven't made a official decision yet. So I think that that's going to kind of play into that early season. Like I said, the game against Texas, I think they're going to end up losing that game because maybe they're not settled in as an offense yet. And they are returning a defense that was ranked number 1 last year and they're returning most of those starters, but they did lose Jim Knowles, who is the best defensive coordinator in the country, and I have a take about him later that I want to speak about. But yeah, I got Ohio State. I think they'll end up being the Big Ten champs.
Go ahead, Rob.
Once again, I'm going to take the other favorite in this conference. Got to zig when other people zag.
Sure.
We've called their coach a 12-team playoff merchant over the past few episodes. However, they return a lot of weapons. Drew Aller's back. Singleton's back. I think the offense is going to be really, really good. The defense is always solid at Penn State. I do think they win the Big Ten this year, beating Ohio State in the Big Ten championship.
I think that's fair.
I think this is probably the best team James Franklin has had at Penn State.
Yeah, I like that. Ryan?
Not so fast. It's not so fast.
Interesting.
I think we need to talk about a man that we ranked number 1 in our blind coach ranking.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Wow.
I think the Oregon Ducks. I mean, there's 3 teams in the Big Ten that have, in my opinion, any chance of making it through the playoffs.
Well, disrespectful to Michigan, probably, but I just don't think they're going to be very good.
I will continue the disrespect.
Yeah.
I think it's the Oregon Ducks, man. Their toughest game is a night game in Happy Valley. And we all know Penn State doesn't win big night games.
They don't have to play in Columbus this year after Ohio State went to Eugene last year. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's fair.
These big conferences and the scheduling sucks.
I fully agree. But it makes for kind of this disparity year after year. So, like, we'll go through their schedule. They go Montana State, Oklahoma State, Northwestern, Oregon State, at Penn State, and then it's Indiana, Rutgers, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, USC, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Connor, the Pokes could do the funniest thing.
We're not beating
Oregon.
They could. We're not beating Oregon.
Throw an absolute wrench into my pick. But I'm going with the Ducks.
Funnily enough, to what kind of Ryan was speaking about earlier, there have been a lot of complaints online and social media because the top 25 in terms of strength of schedule came out, and 15, I think it was the top 15 out of the top 16 teams are SEC, and so everybody was like, "What's going on?" But at the same time, it's like the SEC is the best conference, and so they're playing each other. I don't know. I think that makes sense.
I swear to God, like people see Ohio State win one year, and they're like, clearly, I guess it's been Ohio State, Michigan back to back. So the Big Ten's looking nice right now.
True.
It's good. But over the course of the 21st century, it's been the SEC, and I don't think that's going to slow down anytime soon.
No, I agree with that. All right, getting on to our next conference champion. Let's do the ACC. Let's talk about what we think the ACC is going to end up being. My pick, I have the Clemson Tigers. I think that Clemson's only possible losses throughout the entire season are to LSU and South Carolina. I think are the only possible losses. They are returning tied for the second most returners in all of college football. They have 16 starting returners that are coming back. Cade Klubnik, as much as we may have not.
We're not Cade Klubnik guys.
We're not Cade Klubnik guys.
We're not Cade Klubnik.
He's a merchant of some kind.
Right? I do.
Of some, an undetermined merchant of some kind.
I do have to give him props for this past year because he really, really shot up in QBR, and I expect him to take another leap. So they're my ACC champs. And so I got the Clemson Tigers.
I also have the Clemson Tigers, and I don't know if you guys saw Dabo's headline this week.
That was
16-0.
Yeah,
16-0.
Wow,
that's a little crazy. However, I do like the confidence. I can appreciate a little bit of confidence coming from Dabo. So
Dabo thinks they're going to win out, not get a bye.
No, they still have to win 3 games if they have a bye. So the ACC
because the ACC, that's what it was. ACC championship.
Yeah, imagine he says 17-0.
I was like, Dabo,
come on now. No, they're just head and shoulders the best team in this conference. We kind of disrespected them last year in terms of making the playoff, but there's just no one else in the ACC I think they can keep up with Clemson on any level. So
agreed.
I got the Tigers.
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we're going to go 3 for 3 on this one, gentlemen.
I
think
which means we're going to be wrong.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think there's a talent disparity. I think Connor mentioned it. They're returning like 81% of their of their production from last season, which they were already like, pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
So that that step forward in seniority is going to be pretty impactful. And like he said, they open up with LSU, so that's a dub because Brian Kelly can't win opening weekend games, and then they end the season with South Carolina. So I'm struggling to see maybe even an ACC loss for them. So it'll be
I feel like they'll trip up once.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But
Blues to Duke or some shit. Like, I don't know.
Pitt has their number. I don't know if they play Pitt this year, but Pitt always seems to have their number.
Pitt might be semi-decent this year. I do think also in Clemson, like some kind of interesting to talk about is that I think in terms of the ACC and some of the other teams that they play, that they'll have a lot of top 25 wins, where I think they'll be playing a lot of teams that are ranked like 21 or 23.
Yeah, 20
and so I think
25,
they'll keep beating them, and the committee will be like, oh, they have 7 top 25 wins. So it's kind of like
they do not play Pitt this year. They have UNC on the road, which if we buy into the Bill Belichick hype could be a little bit tougher. Clemson also can't win there in basketball, so maybe I'll translate to football. You never know.
Yeah.
SMU at home.
Yeah, which SMU probably be ranked.
Maybe Louisville
SMU
on the road. I don't know. Yeah. None of those are screaming to me that they're going to lose. So Georgia Tech in Atlanta could be interesting.
That's a trap game. Georgia Tech is always a trap game, to be totally honest. But it's interesting. All right, so 3 for 3 there on the Clemson Tigers pick. We're going to now go to the last Power 4 conference. We're going to talk about the Big 12. This is the one.
This is where it goes off the rails. This is the conference in which it goes off the rails.
Let's lock in.
Yeah. So the Big 12 was definitely the hardest one to try to figure out what's going on. As everybody kind of knows, the Big 12 was basically flipped last year from what everybody thought it was going to be. Arizona State was projected to be like the worst team in the Big 12, and obviously they end up winning the conference. I do not have Arizona State as my conference champion for the Big 12. I have Kansas State. I'm going to go with Kansas State. I think the Big 12 is totally wide open this year. But I think that there are a few teams that I think are in contention. I think Kansas State, I think Arizona State, I think Baylor, and I think Iowa State. I think Baylor's schedule is way too hard. And I think Iowa State runs into some kind of tricky away games. And for me, because I think Scatterbo makes that much of a difference on Arizona State's side, I'm going to have to go with Kansas State. They have 11 returners, including a veteran quarterback in Avery Johnson. And that's something that I'm going to be mentioning a lot in terms of veteran quarterbacks, because I think that's going to be essential this year, in a year where most of the major teams have brand new quarterbacks. And I think that's going to play into a lot of what this year ends up being. So I think returning a quarterback is very important for some of these teams that are going to be in playoff contention.
So, Connor, I was between two teams you didn't even mention as being in contention for the Big 12 this year.
That's wild.
They both reside in the state of Texas.
Okay.
One of them made the college football playoff finals a few years back. We talked about Sonny Dykes at length last year. TCU brings a lot back. Bring back a 4,000-yard passer from last year.
Sure.
Will probably have the best offense in the Big 12, if not one of the best offenses in the country next year.
Interesting.
But I didn't pick them. I picked the team who all of a sudden has some Brinks trucks rolling up to West Texas. Out of the blue, are spending money like it's going out of style. Spent the second most in NIL this past offseason for football. Again, the Big 12 is wide open. I'm not a big believer in Kansas State. I'm going to take the Texas Tech Red Raiders to make a surprise appearance in the college football playoff.
That's a bit of a hot take. I do respect it, but I like it. I love
citing the NIL money spent. They're really trying to get back to the Graham Harrell like Crabtree days. Because Lubbock's a spooky place to play.
Money is king, man. Money is king. That's the reality.
That's crazy. I do. I like the pick. I like it a lot.
Yeah, he's in his bag. He did research other than football. What else is happening in that city that might make it
ESPN
happen?
does have them with the 32nd best odds to make the playoffs.
I see that. I do see that. Yeah.
There you go.
They do have to play Arizona State and Kansas State though, so it's kind of like it's tough. Oh, are they at home both times?
I don't remember. That's what I was asking.
No, I actually don't know. Ryan, why don't you go through your pick while I look it up?
Well, Connor mentioned my team. They were the hottest team in the country for the back half of the season. Took Texas to the absolute ropes in the quarterfinal game. I think it was the Peach Bowl. 39-31 double overtime was probably the most entertaining quarterfinal game of the playoffs.
maybe one of the most entertaining playoff games overall.
Yeah, no, it was great, and they're returning 80% of their production, much like we talked about with Clemson, and that's the Arizona State.
I get it.
I think they really do have a chance in the, like Connor said, the wide open Big 12. I think it's really going to come down to some of their games when they go to Utah, they go to Baylor, they go to Iowa State. So it's not necessarily like a cakewalk for them. It's so hard to pick. There's
of course
six teams that probably have a chance to win the Big 12, just depending how injuries and people play. Correct. Like it's an absolute crapshoot. So
absolutely.
We'll see if they can continue the magic that they worked in the back half of last year.
To quickly go back to Robbie's Texas Tech pick, they do have a bit of a brutal 5-game stretch where they're at home against Kansas, and then they're at Arizona State, and then they're at home against Oklahoma State, and then they're at Kansas State, and then they're at home against BYU.
Where's the brutal stretch?
Think they're scared of Manhattan or Tempe? Come on now. You're telling me you're more scared of going there than Lubbock, Texas? Lubbock, Texas at night is spooky. We know.
No, 100%.
They got the tortillas, man. Fuck.
Flour goes in, tortilla comes out. You can't explain that. You just can't explain that.
All right. So we have now picked our 4 conference champions. We are now going to get into our group of 5 picks. My G5 pick. It is not the G5 team from last year, even though I don't think that would be a bad pick at all. I do have the Tulane Green Wave. I'm going to take Tulane as the G5 team this year. I mean, obviously the caveat to this is that absolutely have to win the conference. Like I think that's the same at any G5 team. You have to end up winning the conference. So I think in terms of, because I think the 2 kind of G5 teams you're thinking about are Tulane and Boise State. The hardest opponent that Tulane plays throughout their entire schedule is Ole Miss, and I have more confidence in them being able to compete and maybe even have a shot at winning that game than I am with Boise State against Notre Dame. I think that's a significantly harder game in terms of one that they have to prove themselves as a playoff team. They have a really good defense, and I think that Tulane ends up being the G5 bid.
Not so fast.
Oh, damn it.
I am also taking a team from the American Athletic Conference.
Oh.
But it's the team that I think you overlooked on Tulane's schedule that very quietly won 10 games last year. Mm-hmm. And also beat Tulane by 10 points towards the end of last season.
This is true.
I think Boise State, is probably going to win the Mountain West again, but I think they're going to be more like a 9-3, which is not going to be highly enough ranked to make the college football playoff. I think that Memphis gets the better of Tulane in the AAC, and I have Memphis going to the college football playoff.
I like that. That's a good pick. I mean, it's in my mind, unless Ryan throws out something crazy, it's one of those 3 teams. It's Boise State.
I think there's one other that you could say without being completely outlandish.
Well, we'll see what Ryan says here.
We were having this conversation before you got on, and we were talking that potentially whoever hosted the game between Memphis and Tulane, that's who we were probably going to go with.
Sure.
Because that matchup, I think, will decide the group of 5. So I also went with Tulane. I just think they have a little bit more talent, and I really love the mascot. Top 5 mascot in college football.
The uniforms go crazy too.
The field's crazy. The mascot's crazy. People love picking Tulane for like college football 26. I mean, they're just they're the people's team. So I'd love to see the Mean Green Wave playing some SEC powerhouse in the college football playoff, right? Like that's just great television.
Oh yeah, their fans show out too. They got
imagine. I don't think LSU is going to make the playoffs. Spoiler alert. But imagine a Tulane LSU first round.
That would go crazy.
Would feed families.
That would go so hard. But
I might make the trip. I might go to Baton Rouge. And
I would go hang out in Baton Rouge for that. Yeah, I'd go hang out in Baton Rouge for that.
All right. So we have made our conference champs as well as our G5 pick. I do have mine ranked, so I guess we'll just go one by one and talk.
Do we want to knock out the easy ones? I'm guessing we're all going to take. I assume that we all have both Texas and Georgia in.
I do have Texas. I do have Texas. Texas was one that I was actually a little hesitant on, and I'll expand a little bit on that. Obviously Arch Manning is a very good quarterback. We saw him play a little bit with the injuries that Quinn Ewers kind of sustained throughout last year. But he is new. Like, this is his first full season. I also think you have to look at Texas is replacing 4 O-linemen and their entire receivers, like all of their starting receivers. So it's
But
like their offense is brand new.
The defense is all back though, and the defense was
Yeah.
so good last year.
No, 100%.
Like that's the one thing that kind of gave me confidence in them is that that defensive unit. We saw what they did to Georgia.
Yep.
I think that defensive unit is going to be really, really solid.
I mean, I think that's totally correct. And also, they have the number 1 recruiting class. I just think that it might be a little bit of growing pains throughout the season in terms of them kind of meshing as a unit. But I do think that just from a talent perspective, there's no way that they won't be able to kind of get into the playoffs. So, but I do have Texas as my 6th seed. Yep.
You have Texas, I'm assuming, or no? No,
I picked them to win the SEC.
Oh.
Actually, I picked Georgia. I picked Georgia to win the SEC. So you're asking if I have Texas as the 5th seed?
I'm going through in the playoff.
In the playoff, I'm just going through like the teams that I'm assuming that we all have more than likely. Basically, just the SEC and Big Ten, and then we'll get into it from there.
Yeah.
Big Ten, Connor, where do Penn State and Oregon fall for you?
So I have Georgia's my number 1. I have Ohio State as my number 2. I have Penn State as my number 3. I think Penn State is going to be very, very good this year. I think that Jim Knowles is going to prove himself as the most important coach in D1 football. I wholeheartedly believe that he took that Ohio State team last year, very talented on the defensive end. He took them to number 1, and they stayed there throughout the whole year. I think Ohio State was incredibly stupid to not pay him what he's worth and retain him. So they were already number 7 in defense this past year. You add Jim Knowles on top of that. I think they get even better. I think they have a pretty easy schedule. Their offense, I do think their offense has to get a little bit better. They were ranked 26 last year, but they're returning 9 of those guys, and I think that's pretty vital. In my opinion, I think they will end up beating Oregon, but I do think they'll lose to Ohio State. But I think that's how it'll shake out as Penn State. That's going to be their only loss, pretty much. But so yeah, and as far as Oregon goes, they're not on my list.
Okay,
I don't have
crazy.
Oregon.
Okay.
I think that's nuts.
I don't think so. Oregon has a pretty easy schedule, and a lot of the times I think that works in people's favors. I actually think that's going to work a little bit against Oregon because I think their only surefire loss, in my opinion, is to Penn State. They're only returning 5 total starters, and they do have a pretty good recruitment and transfer class. I think that they won't have enough top 25 wins, and I think that they'll suffer some upsets here and there. And I think because of that, the committee will be like, you didn't have any good wins. You lost to some teams that you shouldn't have lost to. And like I said before, they're only returning 5 guys, and like that between offense and defense on starters. I don't think Oregon is going to have the year.
In my mind, I think it's like worst case scenario, right? If they lose to Penn State and you pick any other team on that schedule for them to lose to 10-2, I think they still make it in.
I do.
I think that's.
I think there's enough. I think it does come back to poll inertia. Poll inertia is very important,
and
when
I
it comes
guess
to some of these top end teams.
If they do play USC, I believe. I think that's an opportunity for a loss.
Yes, I do. They also play Indiana.
I don't know if Indiana's going to capture lightning in a bottle again.
No, I don't think they will. But yeah. Oregon State, man, you never know. The Beavers could get crazy.
Yeah, I'll go through my favorites real quick. I have Georgia in. They'll probably be a 5 if they don't win the SEC. I can't see them being a whole lot lower than that. And then I do also have Ohio State and Oregon both in. Definitely more confident on Ohio State than Oregon. However, I do think Dan Lanning's a good coach. Should he have been number 1 on our power rankings? No, but I do think Dan Lanning's a very good coach. And to these guys' points, their schedule is just not that hard. I don't really see a way that they lose more than 2 games, which to me is enough to get them in the playoff.
Yeah. I just think they're going to drop maybe 2 that they shouldn't. And that's going to kind of keep them out because they won't have enough of those important wins.
I have Ohio State and Penn State in as well.
Okay. Ohio State, Penn State. In terms of, we'll see if anybody else has this. I have the Notre Dame Fighting Irish as my number 5.
Incorrect. Although Ryan and I were looking at their
Correct
schedule.
buzzer.
Ryan and I were looking at their schedule before this. I mean, it's Charmin soft. And honestly, just out of disrespect to their schedule, I don't even want to put them in. It's ridiculous. They play 8 home games. None of their road games are difficult. It's ridiculous how easy their schedule is.
So, funnily enough, I mean, I agree with everything you just said, but I think it's totally possible that they could go 0-2 to start off the season and then win out the rest and get put in.
They damn near did that last year, bro, when they lost to Southern Illinois.
Yeah.
Northern Illinois.
God, that was so disrespectful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Huskies.
You'll notice that
neither
neither Northern Illinois nor Marshall made the schedule this year. Coincidence?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
We're not paying them a bag to lose again on national television.
I will give them the respect that they are only playing Power 4 teams outside of Navy.
Yeah.
But, yes,
Connor.
At Pittsburgh late in the year, that's a trap game, man.
That's scary.
that's scary.
I think Navy's gonna be solid this year. Although Notre Dame owns Navy. I mean, even when Navy's good, they can't beat Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Boise State at home is not easy.
State. Yeah.
USC, like I said, I think will be improved this year. Outside of that, I mean, it's
no faith,
sleepwalking, honestly. So
it is like annoyance. We don't like Notre Dame.
Yeah,
I mean there is personal bias here.
Yeah, for sure.
Call me Stephen A. Like let's be
100%.
honest. So
also we do need to bring up with Notre Dame that they can now achieve a first round bye because they did away with the conference champions getting the first round bye, which is a miss. You should have to be in a conference to get a bye. I stand by that because all of those teams in a conference will have to win a conference championship game to be 1 through 4 more than likely. Notre Dame doesn't even have to do that.
Very good point.
So I don't think that's really fair.
But then again, what's the whole thing? It's like the conference championship game doesn't matter, which is bullshit.
It's not supposed to be,
which is
included
bullshit,
in your resume.
right?
Yeah,
like how do you play a game and it doesn't matter? It like kind of whatever the fuck.
I think if Notre Dame doesn't have to be in a conference to get a first round bye, then your conference championship game should never hurt your seeding. It should only be able to improve your seeding.
Yeah, I hear
that's the way I would think that it should work.
I get that.
Unless you get dog walk like 59-0 like Wisconsin, and in which case, like, yeah, it should affect your seeding. But like if you lose a close in the conference championship, like you should not slide at all.
Yeah. I agree with that. Anybody else have one of your higher seats that hasn't been mentioned yet that wants to discuss the team?
We haven't even talked about in the SEC yet. We talked about the two favorites, but I got the Tide in there. I'm not going to act like I don't have the Tide in the college football playoff. And I think a lot of people are saying, well, Milrow's gone, whatever.
Oh, no. Sorry.
A lot of the rest of the offense came back. And I think if you watched enough Alabama games last year, you felt how much Jalen Milrow was holding that team back in terms of what plays they were able to call and what plays they were able to execute.
Yep.
The skill positions are there again. The wide receiver room is insane. The defense is returning a lot of players. I think the defense is going to be very good this year. I think that there's a decent chance that Alabama ties to like be able to be in the SEC championship with like 2 losses, but then maybe doesn't win a tiebreaker against UT or Georgia and doesn't get in because of that. But I do think that they'll be 10-2 and in the college football playoff.
Correct.
Connor's not in.
I do not have Alabama
Get out.
in my 12-team playoff.
Go.
It's okay.
I put
as
Notre
long
Dame
as you
in.
didn't put Tennessee in.
Maybe we'll come on to it.
No.
I said maybe.
If Tennessee's in the playoff and Alabama's not, he's not allowed to be on the next podcast. I'm just going to call it now. That's.
But so I think you make a lot of good points, and I think Alabama is going to be good this year. They have most of their returners on defense, but I'm a little concerned with that because they were only ranked 21st last year in terms of total defense, and I think that what's the face for? No, it's not bad. No, it's not bad. But when you're
only
in
21st,
the SEC,
you're only 21st out of 134 teams, Connor. That's pretty good
in the SEC. But
that's top quartile, man.
I'm talking about like in the SEC, and obviously. Wait, sorry, 1 second. I was looking at what the other teams were in the total defense. Let me go through kind of the defense in the SEC from last year. So we had Texas, you had Tennessee, you had Ole Miss, South Carolina, Missouri, Oklahoma. We're all above Alabama in terms of defense this last year. So
we potentially had the worst quarterback of that group you just named. Like, how many times did Jalen make some bonehead play that put the defense in some really tough situations?
Total defense in terms of yards or points?
It was the rankings from defense this past year. It's just total defense.
Because Jalen Milrow was gifting them at least a touchdown a game.
Correct.
doing something
No,
boneheaded.
I hear you. I hear, and really, that's not my biggest argument in terms of why I think Alabama's not going to be there. I am so concerned about Alabama's away schedule: Georgia, South Carolina, Auburn, Florida State, Missouri. I don't see how they come out of that unscathed, and I think that that's one of those cases where Alabama is going to be one of those teams in the SEC that ends up devouring itself just because of the conference that it's in.
We lose to Florida State week 1. Like
this is what I'm saying.
I'm gonna need people to call in and check in on me for real.
But yeah, this was. It also came down to like me at the end because I was going back and trying to figure out my 11th and 12th team, trying to figure out conference allocation, and I was like, I didn't think that I could put another SEC team in there. So yeah, I do not have Alabama on my list, unfortunately. In my 12 teams,
I don't totally disagree with you, but I do think that I think they're being a little underrated this year.
Sure,
just because
I would
we don't
also
have them
agree.
year, but
yeah.
I have them pretty. I think they'll be 7 or 8. Like I think they're pretty
Yeah.
safely in.
I wonder how much that performance in the bowl game kind of
Mhm.
like left a taste in people's mouths because we fucking laid an egg. We looked so bad.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell the leadership didn't show up for that game.
Yes,
And I think that a lot of the leadership around Jalen Milroe kind of gave up on him earlier in the year than maybe people realized. You could just tell. So
I like especially during that OU game. Like,
yeah, I mean,
that's just a team that gave up. That's not that you.
which to be fair would never happen under Nick Saban.
I was gonna say I'm not insulting DeBoer, but this is a different. Those guys don't quit under Saban.
Yeah,
It's also not
team.
It's not DeBoer's guys yet. It's still Saban's guys.
Yep.
Right. I mean, a lot of the
now he
guys that
gets
were
another-
playing last year are like they came to Alabama to play for Nick Saban.
Yep.
So I think it's a little bit tough to manage that locker room when they came to that school to play for the greatest coach of all time, and like Kalen DeBoer's a good coach, but he's not Nick Saban. I think that's a hard thing to manage locker room wise.
Now it's his first year with his dudes, like guys he's actually recruited on the practice field.
A lot of people are going to talk about Ryan Williams coming up. Jeremy Bernard, I think, is going to have a really good year because I think Ryan Williams is going to get double covered a lot. So keep an eye out.
Also, when I was breaking down the schedule and stuff, I didn't even mention, and it's at home, but I didn't even mention LSU and Tennessee. It's just like this. I mean, come on.
Not even worried about
Whatever,
it.
man. All right, Ryan, who's one of the teams that we haven't mentioned from your list?
So we got Alabama.
True.
So I have 3 more teams on my list. I got one from the Big Ten, one from the SEC, and one from the ACC.
Same. That's what I have left as well.
That's what we got locked in. So shall we reveal our ACC teams?
Yeah,
All
I've also got another ACC team.
I think there's 3 ACC teams that you could put here that I would not actually call you crazy and rip your mic out of the wall. One of those, obviously, we mentioned is Clemson, which is head and shoulders above. The other one, I think, could be SMU, but I did not pick SMU here. I did, in fact, pick the Miami Hurricanes.
Great pick.
If we're talking about Charmin schedules, Miami's got one of them.
Yeah, they do.
And Miami and Clemson don't play each other. So it's just, I think your 2 teams from the ACC are getting in unless some absolute cataclysmic shit happens in some of these other conferences.
Ryan, are we giving Carson Beck props right now?
Yeah, I was about to say, man, we got.
That was the one thing that I didn't love about picking Miami. I just think they are going to be better than SMU.
That was my whole. I think Carson Beck will do what he does and manages a game with slightly lesser talent around him, but
maybe manage some car leases, bozo.
Damn. That is
less speeding tickets for his goons around him, perchance, than at Georgia.
Yeah,
Miami PD. But yeah, we're going the Canes. Return to the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm also taking the Canes. They had the number 5 transfer class coming out of last year. I know we gave Mario Cristobal a little bit of disrespect in the power rankings recently too. I just don't see a way that Miami doesn't win enough games to get in this year.
Yeah.
And I also think that Cam Ward, as great of a player as he was, maybe wasn't the best for the locker room. I know like he would basically subbed himself out of the bowl game and said, I'm not playing anymore,
Mm-hmm.
which granted, meaningless bowl game. Okay. But like why even suit up in the first place other than to break a record, which is what he did.
Mm.
I know he's a great player. I think he'll be an okay NFL quarterback. But I am curious to see how they do with a guy like Carson Beck, who I think, obviously coming in year one, we'll have to connect with the guys, but I think will be a little bit better locker room presence, especially coming from Georgia, than Cam Ward was.
Yeah, it's fair. So I do not have Miami, but I don't think Miami's a terrible pick. Just for me personally, I think Miami just has too many question marks going into this year because on top of replacing the quarterback, losing Cam Ward as the number one pick in the draft, they're also replacing everybody on offense apart from a few linemen. So I just think there's too many question marks in terms of Miami. I am going to go with a team that Ryan mentioned before. I'm going to go with the SMU Mustangs. The only games that I'm worried about in terms of their schedule are they do play Clemson and Miami, and then they also play Baylor, who I am rating a little higher than I think most people are. I think that if they can go 2-1 in those games, I think that the committee will look upon them favorably. I think that they were honestly a little overlooked last year. They were top 25 in both offense and defense last year. They have, and I've said it before, they have a returning quarterback, and I think that's going to be essential to team success this year. I think for SMU to get in, because I think they would be jockeying for one of the lower spots with like maybe some SEC teams. They're going to have to be very convincing throughout the year. Basically, if they lose one game throughout the season, they're going to have to be really convincing and have really strong wins throughout the entire rest of the season to have a chance against one of those SEC teams. But I think they can do it. I mean, they have 8 returners. They are kind of overhauling their defense a little bit, so a little worried about that. But I just think that they have more solid foundation than Miami does this year. So that's why I'm going SMU.
I saw a video recently. I kind of forgot this happened last year, but SMU almost lost to Duke last year.
Yeah.
Halfway through the season, had a blocked field goal to send the game overtime and won in overtime. I saw a reel of that game the other day, so I had that in the forefront of my mind too. I mean, they really, almost didn't make the college football playoff last year. I don't know why. I just don't have the feeling that SMU could make the playoff 2 years in a row.
I think
it's
that's
just strictly a gut reaction of like, I just don't see how it happens. So,
yep.
Yeah.
And, Connor mentioned that SMU, and I think in general, ACC teams have to be convincing, but specifically SMU, their name doesn't carry the cachet to be able to lose 2 games, right?
Yeah.
You can't lose to Clemson and
Miami
and still expect to get in. I don't care how much they dog walk the other teams by, right? So they have to play a very, you got to be on your game week in and week out kind of thing for them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I have 2 more teams that have not been mentioned yet. Would you like me to go? I have one in the Big 10, and then I have one in the Big 12, which was last week.
Ryan, you also have a Big 10 team left?
Correct.
This is my spiciest one. We can go to that.
This is also my spiciest one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we want to go our spiciest picks?
I mean, sure. If you only have,
I have one SEC, which is like I think everyone's 4th SEC team.
Oh, I have 3 picks left. Sorry, keep going, Ryan.
So I mean, who wants to? Someone say something spicy.
Robbie, you go. I want to hear what Robbie has to say. Maybe it's the same one. Maybe we have the same one.
No, he looked when I got on. He looked at me. Oh, what's the emotion I would use? I don't know. It was shameful. If it was like
this is a shameful pick. I'm not gonna lie.
No, man. Why?
This is as hot as
Minnesota.
This is as hot as it gets right here. So let me just go through this team's schedule for you in terms of the games I think are the most difficult on their schedule.
Sure.
They got Michigan at home.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
They have USC at home. And they play Penn State on the road.
Okay.
The rest of their schedule, not that hard. They probably need to win 2 of the 3 of those to get in, and I think they can probably beat both Michigan and USC.
Okay.
They have a quarterback who very highly rated coming out of high school, struggled a little bit last year as a freshman, looks a lot like Patrick Mahomes, which affects some of my thinking here. The schedule just sets up nice for Nebraska, man.
No
it really
way,
does.
man.
It just sets up
No
nice.
way.
I think you got to beat Michigan and USC. You can lose to Penn State and lose another one, and you probably get in. I mean, their non-conference schedule is Cincinnati, Akron, and Houston Christian.
Yeah.
I mean, sleepwalk. And then their other road games are Maryland, Minnesota, UCLA. That's just not that hard. And again, I mean, Nebraska last year just can't close out those close games.
Yeah.
Can they finally win some of the close ones and get in? And obviously, it's shameful for me because I'm picking Matt Rule.
I was about to say,
but
it's crazy.
I mean, they gave Ohio State a good game last year. Like they had a lot of one possession losses again. I had to go someone spicy because there's going to be someone that makes a playoff that no one saw coming.
Yeah, of course.
This is my pick for that. So
Yeah,
go with the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Woo. My concern about their schedule is that I think I think that it happens a lot of college football. They're gonna drop one of the games that they probably shouldn't, and then I think there's no way in hell that they beat Penn State at Penn State.
Right, but I think if they drop one game and lose to Penn State and they can beat Michigan USC,
maybe
10-2 Nebraska with wins over Michigan USC will probably both be ranked somewhere between 15 and 25.
Sure, yeah,
probably gets in the college.
I see the argument. I don't mind it. It's just wow, Nebraska.
My only concern would be if they somehow make it to Penn State 10-0. They lose to Penn State and then lose to Iowa the next week at home and go 10-2, but lose the last 2 games of the year. That could be problematic. So we'll see. I'm all about, to Connor's point, picking good quarterbacks in college football.
Yeah,
I think Raiola is pretty good. If they can get the talent around him to help him, I think they have a chance.
Wow. I guess I'll make my Big
It's not
10.
as spicy, is it?
I mean, it's not great, but I don't know if it's as crazy as Nebraska. I will say I've seen a lot of chatter online that a lot of people think that this team is also going to end up being a dark horse team, and it may or may not have been one that you guys were discussing when I joined the Discord call. Give me Illinois. I've got Illinois.
I knew someone was gonna take him.
So Illinois is tied for the second most. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Ryan and I have the same next one coming up too, that doesn't surprise me either.
Illinois is returning the second most starters in the country. They're also returning, like we've talked about before, how important that I think it is specifically, the second most experienced quarterback in FBS. They have a very easy Big Ten schedule too. Really, the biggest thing is that they're against Ohio State, but they are at home against Ohio State. They're not going to win that game. I'm not insane here. But I do think that they're going to end up being the Indiana of this year of the Big Ten. I think Illinois is going to be able to pull it together. They had a pretty, decently solid year last year. Like I said, they're just returning so much talent, including a very, very experienced quarterback. And Illinois doesn't really make a lot of mistakes. It's really if they are able to kind of
Red Bull of football.
Yeah, if they're able to close the gaps between the talent disparities by not making mistakes, not turning the ball over, everything like that, I think that Illinois is going to be very successful this year, and might only lose to Ohio State and drop another one, and I think that they can get in that way. So,
yeah, everything Connor said.
And really took the wind out of your sails there. I knew no one had Nebraska. I felt great about that. I was locked in there.
I think the funniest thing for me is when I was looking at the Big Ten to pick one more team, I was like looking at the schedule and who wasn't bottom half of the Big Ten. And I was like, whatever the schedule favors for that team, that's what I'm going to ride with. And the fact that Illinois on their schedule this year dodges Penn State, Oregon, and Ohio State, I think just lines up favorably for them to kind of not get smoked by some of those bigger games.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have the same thought logic there, right? Because Nebraska dodges Ohio State, Oregon, as well. I mean, they have Penn State, but they dodge the other two.
Yep.
So.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right. So I have 2 more picks. Do you guys only have 1 more pick?
I think based on Ryan's notebook, we have the same final pick.
Correct.
Okay. So I will go through. So what conference is it?
SEC.
Okay, I'll go through my SEC pick too then, and then I'll give my last one. I have them at number 8 on my list. I have the LSU Tigers.
Disagree.
Is who I have for, and I get. So there are a few concerns there. They're only returning 7 starters. It's a brand new O-line, but as I've said before, they have one of the only, in terms of the big name, big brand teams, they have one of the only veteran quarterbacks that's coming back. And I think that in terms of their schedule, that as much bias as they don't want there to be, I think the committee is going to be extremely forgiving to LSU if they drop a few games. And I think LSU might be able to just sneak in there if they're able to pick up 1 win on their kind of 3 major road games that they play. And I think the committee is going to give them a little more leeway than they may deserve if they drop, the the Alabama, South Carolina, kind of Clemson games. So I don't know. I've got LSU there.
Yeah, bad pick, Connor, and I'm gonna give you 2 words as to
stupid
why.
pick.
As to why
Yeah.
that's a bad pick.
Okay.
Lenora Sellers is the 2 words.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going off quarterbacks that I like, that I think are good. South Carolina did lose Rocket Sanders as their running back, but Lenora Sellers is that dude.
Yeah.
He's really talented. I like him a lot. South Carolina was one of the hottest teams at the end of last year. Again, easily could have beaten Alabama, easily could have beaten LSU. We're in both of those games last year. Have those teams again. I think they pick up one of those 2, and they dodge Georgia and Texas. I think there's a decent chance South Carolina goes 11-1 and is in the college football playoff.
Really? 11-1.
They got to beat Clemson, I guess. Maybe 10-2. Okay.
So
but I did forget about Clemson on the schedule, but 10-2 I think is very attainable.
But before Ryan jumps in, I do have to just, because I can't tell you how bad I wanted to pick South Carolina. I wanted to pick South Carolina so bad. I wanted to pick them more than LSU. Like, I did not want to pick LSU. The second half of their schedule is brutal. They're at LSU, then they're at home against Oklahoma, then they're at home against Bama, they're at Ole Miss, they're at A&M, and then they finish against Clemson.
I'm just not high on Oklahoma, Ole Miss, or A&M.
They're a good team. They got to win games.
Yeah, but like, golly, man, I don't know, that back half of the schedule, even though they do, which is a good point, that they avoid Georgia and Texas. But
Coastal Carolina is kind of scary. That's an interstate game. They're a little bit of bad blood. That's a little right before Clemson. That's a little scary, not going to lie to you.
That's actually, yeah, you're not wrong.
Virginia Tech to open the season is not a cakewalk either. I think Virginia Tech will be solid, 75-8-4 this year. But
they're at Mizzou. Like, I don't know.
I got faith in Lenora Sellers. I do. As long as he stays healthy, I got faith.
I mean, granted,
he's the most electric player in the SEC next year.
Granted, they should have one of the top, if not the top front 7 in all of football this coming up year. Like, it's scary. But it's just that schedule is so tough. I don't know. It's going to be hard for them in my opinion. But you made a good point about dodging Texas and Georgia. I think that's pretty kind of crucial to if they're able to win out the rest of them. Ryan, did you have any additional thoughts on South Carolina?
Probably took all of it.
Damn.
8, didn't leave a crumb.
Got a big mouth. What can I say?
We're stealing all Ryan's thunder. So you guys are. So we'll recap, but correct. You guys are out of your picks, correct?
Correct.
So my last one comes from the Big 12, and this was one that I didn't really want to pick. You know, I initially had put it on my will not make it list, and I was like,
Oklahoma State again.
He's the mad lad.
And I was like, you know, the committee is not going to be forgiving to a Big 12 runner-up. Typically, that's not how it goes. Big 12 isn't going to be hard enough or whatever. I just think that there is a very high possibility that this team and my conference champs, Kansas State, could honestly go into the conference championship, both being, you know, undefeated pretty much. And so I have Arizona State as my last team to sneak in there. I think the Big 12 championship will be between them and Kansas State. To Ryan's point, they're returning their full defense. They have the most returners in the country in terms of starters. And even though Scatabo made a huge difference for that team, they have their quarterbacks coming back, and they also have their star receiver coming back on offense. I think they have a lot of things going for them. You know, it seems like the coach is kind of up and coming, and I think that the committee will kind of look at that and be like, you know, we don't love the Big 12, but they've been so successful throughout the entirety of this year that maybe we'll kind of slot them in there at the lower spot. And I think that the SEC will kind of devour itself in the middle a little bit, like they tend to sometimes. But I think it's probably going to be even worse this year because I think there's so much talent in the SEC that a lot of teams are just going to end up canceling each other out, like Bama and South Carolina, and kind of those teams that I think are going to be right under the ones that are being selected. So, yeah. I got Arizona State there.
And Ole Miss, Alabama, South Carolina situation from last year where all three just missed.
No, exactly. I literally think that's going to happen again with those teams. Yep. So I'm going to run down mine, and then Robbie, you can do yours, and then Ryan. It doesn't have to be in order, but just so we have a lot of our picks. So my picks are Georgia, Ohio State, Penn State, Clemson, Notre Dame, Texas, Kansas State, LSU, SMU, Illinois, Tulane, and Arizona State.
These are not in order of rankings. This is in order by conference. SEC, I have Georgia, Texas, Alabama, and South Carolina. Big 10, Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, and Nebraska. Big 12 champ, Texas Tech. From the ACC, Clemson and Miami. And then G5 being the Memphis Tigers.
There it is.
Got the SEC of Texas, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, Have the ACC of Clemson and Miami. Have the Big Ten of Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, and Illinois. Group of 5 is Tulane. And Big 12 conference champ is Arizona State.
And I have 9 of the same 12.
There you go.
Yeah, so we're cooked.
Yeah, we are. We're so cooked.
All right. So that was our college football predictions. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Let us know how many of the ones that you guys shared with us. Quickly, do you guys want to do the bracket, or would you guys like to save it? Because we have already gone for an hour, but it's up to you guys.
I think we just save it. I think we make just the college football prediction.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
that's fine. Yeah.
I think it's fair. So given that, Robbie, do you want to sign us out?
Yep. Thanks again for listening in. If you have any other picks, and obviously Connor will have some videos out of the various horrible things that we said on this podcast.
Of course.
If you have any other picks or thoughts, please go comment those. Let us see what you got going on. For myself, Ryan, and Connor, thank you again for listening, and please gamble responsibly.